The night of July 11, 2015, seemed routine at Altiplano Federal Penitentiary, Mexico's most secure prison, built to hold the country's most dangerous criminals. The facility stood silent under the darkening sky, its imposing walls a symbol of the state's power and control. Guards patrolled sterile hallways, their footsteps echoing off concrete floors, unaware that history was about to be made within these very walls. In cell 20, inmate 3870, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, leader of the Sinaloa Cartel, appeared to be winding down for the night, just another prisoner in the system. He watched TV, paced his tiny cell, and followed the rules, giving guards no reason for concern. Every action was calculated, every glance rehearsed. But beneath his calm, a plan years in the making was about to unfold, hidden in plain sight. El Chapo wasn't resigned to his fate. Every move was part of a carefully rehearsed script. He had spent countless hours preparing, memorizing every detail. The world believed he was locked away for good, but he saw prison walls as temporary obstacles, mere challenges to be overcome. Altiplano was designed to be escape-proof, with thick walls, advanced surveillance, and restricted airspace. Every inch was monitored, every movement tracked. Authorities believed they'd thought of everything, but they underestimated their most famous prisoner. Their confidence would soon be shattered. For a man with unlimited resources and loyal followers, impossible was just a word. El Chapo's reach extended far beyond the prison walls. The quiet of that Saturday night was deceptive. It was a silence heavy with anticipation, the kind that comes before a storm. It was the deep breath before the plunge, the final moment of calm before chaos erupted. El Chapo was about to attempt the unthinkable, risking everything for one shot at freedom. The fortress was about to be breached from within, its defenses tested in a way no one could have predicted. The world would soon wake up to a legend reborn, as news of the impossible escape spread like wildfire, forever changing the story of Altiplano. Even in Altiplano, Mexico's most secure prison, El Chapo was a king in a concrete box. The walls were thick, the doors reinforced, and every inch was designed to keep the world's most notorious drug lord locked away from his empire. His cell was under constant surveillance. Cameras watched him day and night, every movement recorded. But there was one crucial flaw, a blind spot behind the shower partition, a sliver of space the cameras couldn't see. Guards watched his every move, confident that technology and manpower would keep him contained. They believed their vigilance was unbreakable, their routines flawless. But El Chapo was a master at exploiting weaknesses, always searching for cracks in the system, no matter how small. That small blind spot was a crack in the fortress, and he knew exactly how to use it. To him, it was an opportunity waiting to be seized. He'd spent his life manipulating systems and people, bending rules with bribes and charm, turning enemies into allies and obstacles into stepping stones. The authorities trusted their cameras and concrete. El Chapo trusted his network, a web of loyal followers both inside and outside the prison walls. While the government relied on machines and procedures, he relied on loyalty and money, currencies that could open almost any door. His followers on the outside were waiting for his signal, ready to act at a moment's notice, their faith in him unshaken. The prison's designers believed they'd built an impenetrable cage, a fortress no one could escape. But they failed to account for the human element, and for El Chapo's relentless ingenuity, his ability to turn the impossible into reality. In the end, it wasn't just about walls or cameras, or even the guards who patrolled the corridors. It was about who could outthink the system, who could see the moves no one else imagined. And El Chapo was always thinking one step ahead, always plotting, always searching for his next move. The stage was set for a legendary escape, one that would stun the world and cement his legacy as the king who could not be caged. At 8:52 p.m., under the watchful eyes of the guards, El Chapo strolled casually into the shower's blind spot. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. The surveillance monitors showed only routine movement, and the guards had no reason to suspect anything unusual was about to happen. Minutes ticked by. The shower area remained empty, and El Chapo didn't reappear. The silence grew heavier with each passing second, but the guards assumed he was simply taking his time. 18 tense minutes later, a sense of unease finally pushed the guards to check his cell. To their shock, El Chapo was gone, vanished without a trace. Behind the shower wall, investigators discovered a perfectly cut square hole in the thick concrete floor, an opening that shouldn't have existed in a maximum security facility. Instantly, panic erupted throughout the prison. Alarms blared, red lights flashed, and chaos swept through the corridors. The impossible had happened right under their noses. The hole was just big enough for a man to squeeze through, leading into a pitch-black tunnel that disappeared into the unknown. It was a secret passageway, meticulously planned and executed. News of the escape shot up near the chain of command, spreading like wildfire. By morning, the world awoke to the shocking headline: El Chapo had escaped, once again defying the odds. How could a man simply vanish from Mexico's most secure prison, a fortress designed to be impenetrable? The answer lay in that hole, a gateway to one of history's most audacious prison breaks. The authorities were left humiliated, their reputations in tatters. The legend of El Chapo only grew larger, his daring escape captivating the world and fueling his myth. He had made fools of the entire system, cementing his status as a criminal mastermind and a symbol of defiance. The escape was real, the breach undeniable. Every detail pointed to months of careful planning and inside help. The world was left in disbelief, struggling to comprehend how such a feat was possible. The myth of the inescapable prison was shattered forever, exposing vulnerabilities no one thought existed. El Chapo had pulled off the impossible. The largest manhunt in recent history was about to begin. And for El Chapo, the story was just beginning, a new chapter in a saga that would grip the world. To understand El Chapo's escape, you have to know his roots. Born poor in rural Sinaloa, he grew up in the heart of Mexico's drug country. With little education, he entered the drug trade early, learning its ruthless rules. His ambition and cunning propelled him from errand boy to cartel boss. After the Guadalajara cartel split, he founded the Sinaloa Cartel, revolutionizing drug smuggling. He used creative methods, submarines, planes, even chili cans, to move drugs. El Chapo built a global empire, becoming a folk hero to some and public enemy number one to others. His rise was marked by violence, innovation, and relentless ambition. The world's most wanted man was always thinking of his next move, even behind bars. El Chapo's genius wasn't just selling drugs, it was moving them. While others used mules or boats, he went underground, building sophisticated tunnels beneath the border. These tunnels had lighting, ventilation, and rail carts, hidden in warehouses on both sides. Law enforcement would find one, and his engineers would dig another. This network allowed him to smuggle tons of drugs into the U.S. undetected. The Sinaloa Cartel became a global powerhouse, controlling every step from production to distribution. El Chapo ran his empire like a ruthless CEO, waging bloody wars for control. His fortune soared, but so did the violence. He was the most wanted man in 2 countries, living in constant paranoia. His kingdom was vast, but always under threat, and he was always ready to disappear. El Chapo's cat-and-mouse game with the law was legendary. Captured in 1993, he turned prison into his personal domain through bribery and influence. But when threatened with U.S. extradition in 2001, he made his move. Hidden in a laundry cart, he was wheeled out by a bribed guard, escaping right under everyone's noses. The scandal exposed deep corruption and made him a legend. For 13 years, he ran his empire from hiding, always one step ahead. In 2014, he was captured again, this time in Mazatlan, with authorities vowing he'd never escape. He was sent to Altiplano, the inescapable prison. But El Chapo had other plans. He'd already proven that no cage could hold him for long. The world watched, waiting for his next move. The legend only grew, and the stage was set for his greatest escape yet. Once inside Altiplano, El Chapo's team began plotting. Bribery alone wouldn't work. They needed a tunnel, his signature move. They bought land a mile from the prison, built a house as cover, and started digging. A GPS watch smuggled in by a lawyer gave them the exact coordinates of his cell. Skilled miners worked around the clock, 30 feet underground, using a motorcycle on rails to haul dirt. The tunnel had lights, ventilation, and cost millions, funded by El Chapo's empire. Bribes ensured guards ignored the final breakthrough. The operation involved his wife, sons, lawyers, and trusted operatives. While the world saw a man locked away, a secret army was digging him out. The tunnel was a masterpiece of criminal engineering. Freedom was just beneath his feet. On July 11, 2015, the tunnel was ready. El Chapo received the signal and stepped into the shower's blind spot. He dropped through the hole onto a ladder, descending into the tunnel below. The air was thick with earth, the passage lit by bare bulbs. He hopped onto the waiting motorcycle and sped through the underground corridor. Minutes later he emerged in a house built for his escape. Back at Altiplano, chaos erupted, alarms, lockdowns, and frantic searches. But El Chapo was already gone, vanishing into the night. Investigators were stunned by the tunnel's sophistication. The government was humiliated. The world was amazed. President Peña Nieto had called another escape unforgivable. Now, the unforgivable had happened. El Chapo had outsmarted them all. The legend of the modern Houdini was complete. The chase began anew. For 6 months, El Chapo was free, running his empire from the mountains. But his ego led him to reach out to actress Kate del Castillo and actor Sean Penn, hoping to tell his story. This contact gave authorities a lead. In January 2016, Marines raided his hideout in Los Mochis. El Chapo escaped through a sewer tunnel but was caught after stealing a car. The world saw the infamous kingpin, finally captured and defeated. Mexico, under pressure, extradited him to the U.S. in January 2017. He faced trial in New York, was found guilty, and sentenced to life plus 30 years at ADX Florence, America's most secure prison. The era of El Chapo was over. No more escapes, no more tunnels. The boy from Sinaloa who became a kingpin and escape artist had reached his end. But his legend endures, a story stranger than fiction. The world will never forget the man who made the impossible possible. El Chapo's chapter is closed, but the myth lives on. And the world keeps watching, just in case.